Hey everybody, this is February 20th, 2025. My name is Damian Noble, and this is the H-2B update. It's been a lot of chaos in Washington, D.C., especially within federal agencies. And if you're watching that, you might be thinking, is this affecting the Department of Labor? I've been thinking the same thing. In fact, that's all I've been thinking about, as you see in my prior videos. And I think that we have our answer. I mean, if we're looking at the numbers of where the H-2B processing is. And again, we have two sources for that. We have the Department of Labor processing times chart, which you see here, and then we have the USCIS processing chart, which you're going to see here in a second. I'm going to just put it up. Thank you for your patience. All right. So if we look at this chart here, okay, you'll notice that as of February 18th, 2025, only 5,000 beneficiaries are approved, another 7,400 pending. So total beneficiaries that are counting against the cap as of right now, February 20th, is 12,657. Folks, that's astounding. That's an astoundingly low number. So keep in mind that at the start of this, we had a conservative cap estimate that the cap would be met on February 26th. There's no way the cap's going to be met on February 26th, right, at this space. So again, look at these numbers. And then let's look at the other number, right, that we're worried about, which is the actual processing times from Department of Labor. So we're just looking at USCIS. And now we're looking at the Department of Labor. Department of Labor, right now, they're showing certifications for 20,727 workers. Okay. So that's kind of the cap. That's kind of the top number of workers that could possibly be at USCIS. I think the cap is going to be a little later. I'm telling you right now that I think the cap is going to be somewhere after March 2nd or so. So I'm pushing it back 4 days because I don't see it. I don't see the cap being met on the 26th, given where these numbers are at. And I'm going to put again one more time just so we can all know what we're talking about. Here are the numbers from USCIS. All right, so assuming that all certified applications get in their USCIS applications this week, and let's say that assume that like 10% of those don't ask for new workers, they're asking for cap exempt workers. Let's say that we're at 18,000 workers by the end of this week, which will put us at 21st. We're not going to get another 18,000. Remember, we have like a float above that kind of 33,000 number. So we usually get about 36,000 workers through. We're not going to get it by the end of next week. So I don't think it's the 26th. I might be wrong, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Like I think it's going to be later. So I think if you can get your application in next week, you're probably going to make it under the cap. I mean, that's the good news in this whole fiasco at the federal government level. Okay, so again, if you can get your USCI, your certification next week, make sure you overnight that because I think it's going to be worth it. I think you're going to make it under the cap. Could I be wrong? I could. Is that what I'm doing myself? Yes, it is. So I feel comfortable telling you. The reason for all of this is that there has been chaos in the federal government, and I noticed just a story, apocryphal story. When I'm going back and forth with certifying officers, I'm trying to get some sort of NOD response unlodged, or I'm trying to get a recruitment report signed off on. I've noticed, if you show a little love and understanding to these officers about what's happening to them, with these federal firings, it seemed to move things along. So my sense is that they're very affected. What does this mean for a down cycle? If we continue to see this sort of slowdown down cycle, May 15th starters are going to become like June starters, maybe even June 15th starters. Late groups, C, D, E, you're not going to see your workers until May. That's just the way it's going to be because it's going to be so slow. And we haven't even seen yet what the slowdowns at the consulates, are going to mean. Overall, I think we are heading into probably the slowest H-2B season in living memory, excluding COVID, which is a completely unique year for obvious reasons. This is going to be the slowest H-2B season that I've seen in a decade. It's astounding, but also something that I've continually told you might be the case. And it seems like the numbers right now are confirming that. Group Bs. Okay, so let's look at kind of where we're at in terms of overall group share here of the processing. Okay. So let me put it up on big screen for you. All right. So right now, 100% of Group Bs have received a notice of action, notice of acceptance, or notice of deficiency, but we haven't had any certifications. And about 52% of Group Cs are through the cycle. So again, in line with what I said, we're going to see Group Ds start processing probably next week, but at this point, probably late next week, mid to late next week at best. If you are here somewhere, if you have notice of action, you got an early Group C, and given the slowdown, hey, Group C, you might have a chance at getting new workers. Group Bs, I think you might have a chance, if you're almost close to it, of getting new workers. I mean, it's astounding, but it's true. Group D for sure returning. Group E, maybe you're lucky if you get returning, but as before, Group E, F, and G, you're looking at Central American workers or cap exempt workers that are already in the country. So that's really it. I mean, it's the story right now is that the federal government firings, the general chaos from the outside, what it seems, in the Capitol is slowing this process down. And I think we are in for the slowest season of our lifetime. The good news is I think we can move that cap back with like high degree of confidence to March 1st, March 2nd, and maybe later as we watch these numbers. So that's the update for this week. Let's see, we got some comments. Eric Orlando, what do you think about Group G? What's going to happen with it? Group G is for Colombians. I think Group G, Eric, so this is what Eric's asking. Yeah, so Eric, I think Group G for sure will need to get workers from that special allotment for Colombians and Central Americans. I think I think that's still pretty safe, safe bet that that'll happen, because what happens as we go further into the season, a lot of people drop out, and we've never taken up the entire Central American allotment. Now we hope to, because the Central American allotment's really good, but I think Group G is still going to get their people. Group G is probably not going to see their people until mid-June, though. At this point is what's going to happen. Okay. If you're a returner, that's a little different, right? Group G is not going to get returning worker visas, but they can get Colombian visas. I still can't do my 2 a.m. So this is, guys, I appreciate the message. I only work with employers, right? So what we do is we work with Filipino workers that we bring in for special roles, like through another company that's affiliated with us, which is for domestic workers in spaces. That's what we recruit, and we specialize in bringing Filipinos that are already outside the Philippines into the U.S. into employers' homes. We don't do any other kind of recruiting. And Malaysia is on the list. This person saying, hey, I'm from Malaysia, I still can't. Well, Malaysia is technically on the H-2B list, but I got to tell you, I think there's probably a soft ban on Malaysia in the program. My working assumption, until I see different, is that all countries that weren't on the H-2B countries list before it was abolished here at the end of 2024 are probably not in the program. The reason that list was abolished is a little bit arcane, a little bit complex, but the essential point is that list had to be updated every year. And if it wasn't updated, then the H-2B program would have been essentially killed off, because no countries would be then authorized for the H-2B program. When the Biden administration abolished it, they said, from now on, all countries are authorized for the program. That was to stop the incoming administration from using an easy way or accidentally even killing the program. But it doesn't mean that necessarily that there is a green light for countries all over the world to use the H-2B program. So Malaysia might not be one that can use it, unfortunately. Any other questions? No? Okay. Guys, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate the growth of the channel. I appreciate you guys signing up. And yeah, just tell other people about it. I am a resource for H-2B workers and employers, even though my company only works with employers for now, unless you're Filipino, in which case, we'd love to hear from you if you're interested in kind of positions for caregiving or nannies. So thanks so much, guys. Just want to make sure there's no other emails, no other questions. Take care, guys. We'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you probably next week. Take care.